what it means to miss New Orleans and miss it each night and day. I know I'm not wrong, the feeling's getting stronger the longer I stay away. Miss the moss-covered vines, the tall sugar pines. Mockingbirds used to sing, and I'd like to see the lazy Mississippi a-hurrying into spring. The moonlight on the bayou, a Creole tune that fills the air. I dream about magnolias in June, and soon I'm wishing that I was there. You know what it means to miss New Orleans when that's where you left your heart. And there's something more, I miss the one I care for more than I miss New Orleans. Moonlight on the bayou, a Creole tune that fills the air. I dream about magnolias in June, and soon I'm wishing that I was there. Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans when that's where you left your heart? And there's something more, I miss the one I care for more than I miss New Orleans, more than I miss New Orleans. Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 3 conductors and 25 sacks on mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulled out at Kankakee and rolls along past houses, farms, and fields. Passing trains that have no name, and freight yards full of old black men, and the graveyards of the rusted automobile. Good morning, America, how are you? Say, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the rain they call the city of New Orleans, and I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. score. Pass the paper bag that holds the bottle. Feel the wheels rumbling beneath the floor. And the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpet made of steel. Mothers with their babes asleep, rocking to the gentle beat, and the rhythm of the rails is all they feel. Good morning, America, how are you? Say, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Nighttime on the city of New Orleans, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by morning. Through the Mississippi darkness, rolling down to the sea. But all the towns and people seem to fade into a bad dream, and the steel rails still ain't heard the news. The conductor sings his songs again, the passengers will please refrain. This train has got the disappearing railroad blues. Good morning, America, how are you? Say, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
Thibodaux, Louisiana, that's my kind of town. There I met a little dark-eyed girl that turned my whole world around. She could move to a fiddle groove in a way I can't forget. She took a hold of my Tennessee heart and ain't let go of it yet. I hear her calling me Louisiana melody. As the old folks say, your heart's gonna bring you back someday. Twin fiddles and a steel guitar, bright lights that shine. I knew as I walked inside I was heading for a real good time. The band played Bon Ton Roulette, everybody was on their feet. When she took my hand and away we went, she did.
Mosquitoes are buzzing round my head, Spanish moss for my bed. Seldom see dry land, I'm an alligator man. I hunt the gator all night long, set his hide and then I'm gone. See the bells from Bayou Shan, they love this alligator man. Oh, this bayou country is my home. From this place I'll never roam. I'm the leader of the clan known as the Alligator Man. When I bring my hides to town, all the people gather round. They just want to shake the hand of the Top Gator Man. Some people search the world for fame, but fighting gators is my game. See the scars on my hands, I'm an alligator man. A gator man till I die. When I'm married by and by, pretty belle from Bayou Shan will raise a little gator man.
She didn't miss a Cajun beat. I hear her calling me Louisiana melody. As the old folks say, your heart's gonna bring you back someday. Underneath the old oak tree on the hood of my ship.
Put your right foot forward. Yeah, we're glad y'all here. Put your right foot forward. Put your left to the rear. Put your right foot forward. Yeah, we're glad y'all here. French Quarter Fest. Hey, welcome to New Orleans. French Quarter Fest. Hey, welcome to New Orleans. Everybody come on. Hey, welcome to New Orleans. Everybody come on. Hey, welcome to New Orleans. Put your right foot forward. Put your left to the rear. Put your right foot forward. Yeah, we glad y'all here. Put your right foot forward. Put your left.
As we shared a kiss or two, I swear I heard the chapel bell. Well, I better be on my way, I've got a long way to ride. Knowing then what I know now, I should have stayed right by her side. I hear her calling me Louisiana melody. As the old folks say, your heart's gonna bring you back someday.
Take me home, take me home. Oh Lord, I've been gone for so long. Take me home, take me home. Mama and Daddy are waiting to take me home. When I was a little boy, if it was a rainy day, Mama and Daddy would meet me after school. Mama said you might get chilled to the bone walking home alone. So Mama and Daddy would wait to take me home. Take me home, take me home. Oh Lord, I've been gone for so long. Take me home, take me home.
was after the war, and I'd been gone so long. Mama and Daddy were waiting to meet the train. With smiles and tears they cried, "Son, how you've grown." And Mama and Daddy were waiting to take me home. But fate has been unkind, and somewhere I went astray. And now in this lonely prison, I'm down to my last day. Or they'll strap me in that chair, and I'll pay for all my wrongs, while Mama and Daddy wait outside to take me home. Take me home, take me home. Oh Lord, I've been gone for so long. Take me home, take me home. Mama and Daddy are waiting to take me home. Mama and Daddy are waiting to take me home.
Hey California, you don't know me. New York City, you can't show me anything I haven't seen at least 100 times before. I still love you, New Orleans, Mississippi River Queen. 'Cause when it comes to loving, you beat all I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of ladies in my time. I've had me a few women that were fine. But I don't need no city woman messing with my mind. So goodbye San Francisco, girl, I'm leaving you behind. Hey California, you don't know me. New York City, you can't show me anything I haven't seen at least 100 times before. I still love you, New Orleans, Mississippi River Queen. 'Cause when it comes to loving, you beat all I've ever seen. And I've had some senoritas down in Mexico. I met a few potatoes up in Idaho. I've had peaches down in Georgia in that San Antonio road. If the good Lord made any better than you, He's the only one that knows.